Hello everyone, my name is Hina Thakkar. I am a regulatory consultant at Alceon MedTech Consulting. Welcome to an introductory module ISO 13485 20. So before diving deep into the technicalities of this standard, let's understand the importance of it. Now, if you belong to the medical device industry, you may have heard of this standard. And it is also possible that this may be your reference standard on a daily basis. As you may know, the standard is specifically designed for medical devices. The purpose of the standard is to help medical device manufacturers or IVD device manufacturers to set up their quality management system in order to fulfill customer requirements and also meet regulatory requirements. So, what it does is it allows an organization to demonstrate their ability to provide devices or any device related services that consistently meet customer requirements and also fulfill regulatory requirements at the same time. So, where is the standard coming from? Now, you may know that the latest version of the standard that is in use is 2016, but this is not the first version of it, right? As you can see, the first version of it came in use in 1996. So, one can tell that the medical device industry has a lot of understanding and a lot of experience in the interpretation and implementation of the standard. It got revised from 1996 to 2003 basis the changes that came out in ISO 9001 standard from 2000 version of it. The 2003 version of 13485 got again revised in 2016, which all of us use today. The changes in 2016 version of ISO 13485 are based on ISO 9001 2008 version. Now, one may argue that the latest version of ISO 9001 that is in use today is 2015. But if you really see the changes that were made in 2015 version of ISO 9001 were not considered necessary for medical devices. Hence, the 2016 version was again not revised. So the latest version that is in use is 2016. Now, who can follow ISO 13485? So we have established so far that it is meant for medical device manufacturers. Now, the key thing to remember here is that any medical device manufacturer who is involved in any stage of medical device life cycle, starting from design and development to the disposition of the devices, can apply the principles of 13485 basis the activities that they may be doing. Similarly, any suppliers that may supply products or ready-made devices or any components to other manufacturers can also comply to the principles of ISO 13485. Another mention that is given in ISO 13485 is other external parties. So any technical solution providers or any regulatory consultants that may be giving services to medical device manufacturers can also comply to this standard. So we at Alceon MedTech Consulting have our own quality management system, which is set up on the basis of ISO 13485, and we are also certified through BSI. So our purpose of having quality management system in place is not to fulfill any regulatory requirement per se, but it is to make sure that we give quality services to all of our customers who are in the business of designing or manufacturing medical devices or IVD devices. So it is all about ensuring that quality product or quality service is being delivered ultimately to the final user. Now, looking at the structure of ISO 13485, you may know that the standard is divided into 8 clauses. The first 3 clauses, scope, normative references, and definitions, are called introductory clauses. Clause 4 to clause 8 are called auditable clauses. So, if you're willing to develop a system and if you're willing to go through certification process, the requirements from clause 4 to clause 8 needs to be fulfilled. So there are two concepts that one needs to understand while applying the requirements of ISO 13485. There is an exclusion allowed in design and development related requirements. So if you are a manufacturer who is only involved in the production activities and you're not the final design authority, then you may exclude the design and development related requirements. Similarly, any requirement from clauses 6, 7, or 8 may be shown non-applicable. So, for example, if you're a syringe manufacturer, requirements related to installation and servicing may not really apply to that product because it doesn't fit the intended purpose of the product. So, you can show installation and servicing requirements as non-applicable within your quality management system. Now, if you see, the exemption is not given from the requirements of clause 4 and clause 5 because clause 4 sets out basic principles of quality management system and documentation requirements, and clause 5 is about management responsibility. So no requirements can really be excluded or can be shown non-applicable from any of these two clauses. Another concept that is given in ISO 13485 is about normative reference. What it means is that in order to implement the standard requirements correctly, one needs to follow the normative references given in that particular standard. So for ISO 13485, the normative reference that is mentioned is ISO 9000 2015. ISO 9000 2015 is the fundamental for quality management system, and it also provides vocabulary in regards to the quality management system, which can help you implement 13485 fully. Now, if you have to implement 13485 requirements correctly, it is very, very important for you to understand the core principles. It is very important to understand how to apply basic quality management principles. So we have bifurcated these 3 core principles into process approach, risk-based approach, and PDCA. So let's understand them one by one and see how it actually is connected to the application of entire standard. So ISO 13485 mentions process approach and risk-based approach in clause 4.1. Now, in order to apply the process approach, one needs to really understand what the word process means. So the process means is that there is an input that has been given to perform certain set of activities in order to achieve an output. So process approach is actually a philosophy which sees an organization as a series of processes, a series of activities that are being done parallelly, that are being done together in order to achieve a common result or in order to achieve specific objectives. For example, if we say that we want to perform a production process and the output that we want is a product or a medical device. Now, in order to produce a medical device, what one might need is materials, equipments, documentation, so methods or procedures or any plans, and competent people to help out in the production process. So this is how process approach can be applied by identifying the processes, and after identification of processes, by identifying the set of activities that will be done in that particular process. Now, I'm assuming that there is a clarity on what the word process means and how to adapt to this process approach. There is an interconnection to this process approach, which is called risk-based approach. So risk-based approach is, as the name suggests, it is about identification of risk in each of these processes. So let's go back to the same example that we saw before in process approach. So in process approach, we identified the set of activities that one needs in order to perform a process and in order to achieve certain output. Now, this time, what we're going to do is we're going to look into the risks involved into each of these activities. So, for example, in case of raw materials, it might be possible that one will receive incorrect specifications or untested materials, which will eventually impact the final product. Similarly, it might be possible that equipments are not correctly installed or their maintenance was never done, which will eventually impact the product. So similarly, we keep on identifying risks involved into each of these processes and the activities in a nutshell, and apply the principles of ISO 14971, which is the risk management standard for medical devices. But this time, we will apply the standard for identification of risks in the processes and activities that are involved into driving these processes. The third principle is the PDCA cycle, which is plan, do, check, and act. So, in order to perform any activity or in order to drive any process, one needs to first of all do the planning, then execute the planning. Once the execution is done, one needs to do the self inspection, let's say, and check whether the process was performed or the particular activity was done as it was planned. And if there is any error that is observed during self inspection, then one needs to take appropriate action if the failure is detected. Well, this is now an end of the introductory module of ISO 13485. If you're interested in the full course on quality management system for ISO 13485 or MDSAP or any other topics, you may please feel free to reach out to us. We are also in the business of providing regulatory and quality assurance consulting services to medical and IVD device manufacturers. EQMS is one of our new products that we have now launched. So if you're someone who is looking out to transition from your paper-based quality management system to an electronic version of it, please feel free to reach out to us for a free demo and allow us to understand your needs. This is now the end of the presentation. Thank you very much for your time.